Assalamualaikum. We are students from Session 2 ECON1610 will present about unemployment.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is FATIMATH LAMHA KHALID, and today I'm going to present my project to you with the help of my group members. Before I introduce you to my topic, I'd like to share a quote from Larry Elder. Outsourcing and globalization of manufacturing allows companies to reduce costs, benefit consumers with lower cost of goods and services, causes economic expansion that reduces unemployment and increases productivity and job creation. This quote should give you all an idea of what our presentation is about. So our topic for this presentation is unemployment. The content of this presentation include overview of unemployment, comparison of unemployment rates, causes of unemployment, costs of unemployment, some solutions that we can bring in order to reduce unemployment, and then we will conclude our presentation. So, what is unemployment? Unemployment is the term used to describe people who are employable and actively looking for work but are unable to find work. So the keywords here are employable and actively seeking for job. There are four types of unemployment: frictional unemployment, structural unemployment, cyclical unemployment, and seasonal unemployment. Frictional unemployment. This is the type of unemployment that rises when workers are searching for new jobs or are transitioning from one job to the other. For example, graduation students who join the labor force and are unemployed until they find one. Structural unemployment. This is the type of unemployment that occurs due to mismatch between the jobs available and the skills of the unemployed. For example, due to competition, a car manufacturing company might have to shut down. The workers are now unemployed, but the only available jobs in the labor force include teaching, doctors, and electrician, which the car workers are not qualified for. Cyclical unemployment. When labor forces are forced to reduce as a result of business cycle or fluctuations in the economy, it is called cyclical unemployment. For example, an automobile worker is laid off during a recession to cut down labor cost. And seasonal unemployment. Lastly, seasonal unemployment is the result of people being unemployed at a particular time of the year due to the demand of labor being lower than usual. The easiest example for seasonal unemployment is construction workers. In most of the countries, construction workers are laid off in the winter. Another example include people who harvest crops. They only have their jobs during the harvest season. Here are the top 10 countries with the highest unemployment rates. One of the main reasons for unemployment in Syria is largely due to inflation, which causes many of the industries and businesses to shut down. Over 50% of the labor force is currently unemployed, which has created massive economic insecurity for millions of Syrians. Like many developed countries, in South Africa, Senegal's economy is growing. For instance, in 2018, GDP increased to 6.766%, but economic growth hasn't created jobs for the younger generation, which has resulted in high youth unemployment. Other reasons of unemployment rate to increase in other countries include lack of rural productivity, growing population size, being poor in natural resources, and with low level of human development. Now, you might be wondering what human development is. Human development is expanding the richness of human life rather than simply the richness of the economy in which the human beings live. it can be said that the Malaysian unemployment rate has remained nearly constant from 2000 to 2019. There's a very little change in the unemployment rate over the years, but in the year 2020, there is a drastic change in the unemployment. This is because of the global pandemic that we are all facing, which has caused a great impact in the economy. While many people have lost their jobs or their incomes are cut. Most of the countries are now in recession, and hospitality sector of Malaysia has also been affected.
Assalamualaikum. My name is FATIMATH binti AZNAN. My metric number is 2011138 and I'm going to present about the comparison of unemployment rate. Before that, I will briefly explain about the measurement of unemployment rate. So, how to measure the unemployment rate? Firstly, we have to identify the people that in the labor force from the total population, which consists of the number of unemployed and the number of employed. From that, we get to know the unemployment rate by dividing the number of unemployed with the number of labor force and then times 100. To make you more clear, let's take a look at this example. From here, we can see that the number of employed and unemployed is 12.6 million and 0.7 million respectively, and the number of labor force is 13.3 million by adding them together. And then from that figure, we get to know the unemployment rate by dividing the number of unemployed with the number of labor force and then times 100, which is 0.7 million divided by 13.3 million and then times 100, we get 5.3%. I hope you're clear about that. Okay, let's proceed with the comparison of unemployment among the countries. From the graph here, we can compare unemployment rate from different countries, which from Japan, USA, and also China. As we can see here, Japan is a country that has a relatively low unemployment rate compared to the other countries. Based on the graph, in 2018, Japan's unemployment rate fell to 2.4%, which is the lowest in over 24 years. In fact, even during recession, Japan's unemployment rate is quite low compared to the other countries. So why Japan has a low unemployment rate? That is because of their strong work ethics and competition among its co-workers. Japan managed to regain its former economic power after the Second World War. This is largely due to their attitudes toward works and job creation. The other reason is because of their wages. During recession, Japan's wages tend to fall. This helps to keep their people employed. So, that is the major factor in keeping the unemployment rate low in that country. Next, this graph shows the unemployment rate from Japan, USA, China, and also South Africa. If we compare these four countries, we can see that South Africa has a high unemployment rate. Based on the graph, in 2020, the unemployment rate rose to 32.5% from 30.8%. And that figure is really high if we compare to the other countries that only have 2 to 6% of unemployment rate. So this high unemployment rate in South Africa happened due to some reason. The first one is because of the slow economic growth. The South African economy has grown at a slow pace with little employment growth. Economic growth has been too slow to create the job opportunity, so that is contribute to the unemployment rate in the South Africa. The next one is the effect of 28-29 global recession. During recession, many workers has lost their job because of the company could no longer afford to employ more people and have to cut their payrolls. So that is contribute to the high unemployment rate. The last one is the legacy of apartheid and poor education and training. Because of the deliberate exclusion of black people from educational system and skilled occupation during apartheid, it contribute to the high unemployment rate today in the South Africa. Last but not least, let's take a look at the effect of COVID-19 on unemployment. Based on the graph, we can see that unemployment rate increased significantly from 2019 to 2020. And this current crisis that we face today is very different from the previous one. Because of this lockdown, we have to stay at home to get avoid from the virus. Many companies have been struggling in this current pandemic, in this current crisis. Unless the government help them, maybe they will go bankrupt soon. This crisis could also create a new social tension and lead to a slow economic growth. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hello, my name is RANJITHA and I'm going to continue the presentation with the factors of unemployment. There are many reasons why unemployment happens. The first is because of high population growth. Increasing population will lead to higher rates of unemployment. This is because the demand for the works are higher than the available jobs or occupation, which will lead to many individuals being unemployed because the growth of population is more in comparison to the resources of an economy. An imbalance between the supply of labor and also the demand for it gave a rise to the unemployment. As an example, in India, the population is made up of more than 1.3 billion of people, second only to that of China's population. And it is also predicted that India's population will exceed China's population by the year of 2024. As the economic growth cannot keep up with the population growth, this leads to a larger share of the society still being unemployed. The second factor of unemployment is seasonal unemployment. Seasonal unemployment occurs when there are people who are unemployed at a particular time of the year because the demand of the labor for that particular sector or job is lower than usual. Example is when farmers who work for their yield of their seasonal crops, they will be seasonally unemployed at other time during other time of the year. Seasonal employment is prevalent in those industries which are engaged in seasonal production activities. This seasonal unemployment is actually more predictable as it is known with certainty at which time period the demand for the commodity will change. For instance, the unemployment will goes up in the winter season or months because of many agricultural jobs ends once the crops are harvested in the fall season or months, and most of these workers or farmers, they will go and look for other jobs. And this period of seasonal unemployment in certain countries also varies from state to state, depending upon the method of farming, the nature of soil, and also the possibility of multiple cropping. The third factor of unemployment is slow economic growth. A low rate of economic growth can cause a higher rate of unemployment. This is because if there is less demand for a goods, the firm will also produce less, which will lead to the need or the demand for the workers will also reduce. Second is, in recession, some firms will go bankrupt, making many people redundant. Third is, many firms will be reluctant to hire more workers when there is uncertainty and also negative growth in an economy. A good example of this is the case of China. It is estimated that if the economic growth of China slips under 7% a year, the unemployment rates will go higher because China is making a rapid productivity gain. The fourth factor of unemployment is the global rapid technological change. Unemployment can also occur when there are development in technology and also working practices, which can lead to many people lost their jobs. When a labor-saving machine is introduced into a productive process, this could make the firm to get rid of their workers since the machine can produce the same amount of goods as before. This is because the new advanced technology has replaced the low-skilled and also unskilled workers in different factories. And it is of course made the production more faster, accurate, but it also resulted in many people being unemployed. The new technological advances have eliminated the less complicated tasks, but at the same time it also requires the workers to have higher levels of skills. For example, due to the technological changes, coal miners may have lost their jobs, and they maybe are unable to take new jobs from other sectors because they have no skill in different sector or jobs. This will cause a temporary increasement in unemployment.
My name is Sharifah with metric number 2010708. We present about cost of unemployment. Cost of unemployment are divided into three, which are cost to individual, society, and country. First, for the individual, the greatest economic cost of unemployment is lost income. It will give impact on that person's standard living. Unpaid rent places households and families at risk of eviction, particularly as eviction restrictions and regulations imposed by certain communities expire and households fail to pay back rent. Eviction has a wide range of negative consequences, including the loss of personal belongings, traumatic school transfers, the loss of peers of 4 children, and mental health distress, to name a couple. The loss of a stable income source cuts off one's access to a sufficient food, shelter, heat, and ability to pay bills. The loss of a stable income source cuts off one's access to sufficient food, shelter, heat, and ability to pay bills, and such worsening socioeconomic conditions would reasonably impact on one's subjective well-being negatively. Even for those eligible for unemployment benefits and other forms of government assistance, it is often the case that these benefits replace 50% or less of their regular income. That means these people are consuming far less than usual. However, the economic consequences can go beyond just less consumption. Many people return to retirement saving in a pinch, and draining these savings has a long-term ramifications. Second, wasting away of skills. Unemployment can lead to wasting away of skills, basically robbing the economy of otherwise useful talents. At the same time, the experience of unemployment, either direct or indirect, can alter how workers plan for their futures. Prolonged unemployment can lead to a greater disbelief and doubts about the value of education, and training can lead to workers being less willing to invest in the long years of training some jobs require. Unashamedly note, the absence of income created by unemployment can force families to deny educational opportunities to their children and deprive the economy of those future skills. Non-economic costs to individual. Last but not least, there are other costs to individual. Studies have shown that unemployment harms the mental health of workers, can worsen physical health, and shorten lifespans. For the individual, non-economic costs include adverse effects on mental health, physical health, adverse effects on the family, higher risk of alcoholism and drug abuse, and higher crime and higher suicide rates. Next, cost to society. Decrease in goods and services. For society, the greatest economics of unemployment is decrease in goods and services that occurs as a result of unemployment. When unemployment became a widespread problem, demands for protectionism and strengthened immigration control become more common. Protectionism not only causes negative effects between nations but also harms to the economic well-being of our trading partners. Next, higher crime. Other socials include how people interact with each other. Studies have shown that times of elevated unemployment often correlate both with less volunteerism and higher crimes. Elevated crime makes sense because absent a wage-paying job, people may turn to crime to meet their economic needs. The volunteerism's decline does not have an obvious explanation but could perhaps be tied to the negative psychological impacts of being jobless or perhaps even resentment towards those who do not have a job. Third, cost to country leads to higher payment from state and federal governments. The economic costs of unemployment are probably more obvious when viewed through the lens of national checkbook. Unemployment leads to higher payments from state and federal governments for unemployment benefits, food assistance, and medical aid. In July 2020, payments from state and federal governments of United States for unemployment benefits total $18.26 billion. At the same time, they are no longer collecting the same levels of income tax as before, forcing these governments to borrow money which defers the cost and impacts of unemployment into the future or cut back on the other spending. Next, country produce goes to personal consumption and unemployed workers. Unemployment is also a dangerous state for the US economy. Almost 70% of what the US economy produces goes to the personal consumption and unemployed workers. Even those receiving government support cannot spend at prior levels. The production of those workers leave the economy, which reduces the gross domestic product (GDP) and move the country away from the efficient allocation of its resources. Last but not least, raise corporate tax. It is also worth noting that companies pay a price for high unemployment as well. Unemployment benefits are financed largely by taxes assessed on business. When unemployment is high, states often seek to boost their economies by raising corporate taxes, which conversely discourage employers from hiring more staff. Companies are not only facing lower demand for their goods, but they are also finding it more difficult to maintain or recruit employees.
Assalamualaikum. My name is ZIYU. My ticket number is 2023342. I'm going to talk about solution to employment. For solution to employment, I have listed 3 ways. The first one is subsidies on the basis of employment. A subsidized employment program is one way to provide income support to people who cannot find jobs in the regular labor market, particularly during periods of high employment. These programs have been designed primarily to provide work-based income support and have often targeted of employed people. A subsidy is one type of intervention which aims to reduce youth employment by providing a subsidy to firms which covers part of the cost of employing young people. The second way is to encourage small business against the big business. Small businesses are easy to raise funds. The construction period is short, and the productivity is easy to form. As the basic force of the active market, small business accommodate most of the employed people in the society. This is because it is relatively easy for small business to start a business, and one or several people can start a small business on partnership. It can not only solve the employment problem of oneself, but also bring to the society job opportunity. The third way is the change in investment patterns. Investment industry structure issues have significant difference in the employment stimulating effect. Both high employment economic growth and low employment economic growth may occur. Therefore, the investment structure and the investment direction should be optimized, and the employment effect of investment should be fully considered it is necessary to give full play to the role of government investment in driving provide investment, stimulate provide investment, and improve provide investment so that government investment and provide investment can jointly promote employment effects. Many people live a hard life because of employment, which can help them find a job. Solving the problem of employment is beneficial to the development of the country and the employment of individual life. That's all my presentation. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum guys, I'm Malum and I would like to conclude the presentation with a little summary. In general, the influence factors are as follows. First, unemployment is a term used to refer to individuals who are employable and are actively seeking for jobs. Secondly, the main reason for unemployment include lack of rural productivity, growing population size in poor countries, slow economic development, global rapid technological change. And the third is the current pandemic has also affected the unemployment rate. These crisis has impacted the world in different ways. Many people are unemployed or the work hours are reduced. And the fourth is unemployment causes. The first is loss of income, which affects the standard of living, wastage of skills, and also the mental health of the individuals. It also leads to higher payment from state and the federal government, increases corporate tax. The fifth is some solution for unemployment include providing subsidy, encourage small business against big businesses, change in investment partners. Okay, that's all, and I hope our group was able to give you all an idea about the overview of unemployment. Hope you have a great day. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.